In this video, I want to talk about Bitcoin and my own view on the Bitcoin price for 2016. A year ago, or approximately a year ago, I did a similar video talking about my impression of where Bitcoin was going during 2015. And of course, most of 2015, it really went sideways. However, I did put a price prediction. I said I believed it would reach between $300 and $400 by the end of the year, and it did in fact breach and went over the $300, so I wasn't too far wrong. Anyway, I want to go and talk about this year, because this year has got a number of features which make it different from last year. The first one, I believe, is that Bitcoin has entered a bull market after a significant bear market period. And the other point is that in July, approximately around July 12, the Bitcoin halving takes place, which is when the number of Bitcoins issued every 10 minutes, created every 10 minutes, through the process of mining is halved from 25 to 12.5. And this will make a significant difference to the amount of new Bitcoin coming into circulation. And if demand stays the same and supply goes down, then it would be logical to assume that there will be a price increase. And that is something which I think will happen. And it's probably already starting to happen, maybe a little bit, in terms of pricing that increase now before the actual halving occurs. Okay, so I'm looking at the blockchain chart, and what I'm looking at here is really the all-time chart, because it's always instructive to look at the all-time chart and to realize that back here, there was no market price back in '09, and the first time we see a market price is when it comes in at around about 6 cents. So this is sort of like July 2010. 6 cents. And then, of course, it had a little bit of a bubble. It went up all the way to $19 or $17 or $32, in fact, here in July 11. In other words, a year later. And then it settled back again. And then it had, in 2013, of course, was when things really started to happen. There was a burst of activity when it shot up here around about June or May. And it got up to close to $200 and it's dropped again. And then, of course, we had the massive spike, which went to over $1,100. And you can see from this chart that all of 2014 was spent, with minor various corrections along the way, was spent in a steep bear market decline, which lasted a whole year. And following year, 2015, you could say that from January, the price just went like this, mostly over 200, typically averaging around 240, 250. However, starting with January, even before that, we saw the price start to move. By the end of the year, we'd already got over 300. What we've seen since, of course, is the price continuing what I see as a trend. And I would say, watching this total chart, that I would say we've exhausted the bear market. We've seen a period of a trough, and now we're effectively moving into another bull market. If you look at, that's the all-time, if you look at the 2-year chart, of course, you get various pictures from this. Here you can see all of the fall, all of 2015 hovering around like this, and you can see a distinct trend out. If you look at the 1-year chart, it becomes more obvious. What we're seeing now, this is a year since since June or May, I should say, last year. What you're seeing is quite a distinct trend upwards again, and you can do this. You go down to 6 months, and you can see the same with bumps and dips as normal. Of course, you see that because there are always sell-offs. The price of Bitcoin no longer rises in a straight line. There is always sell-offs and profit taking along the way, which helps to ameliorate and modify the volatility to some extent and keeps the growth rate at a more sustainable level rather than going up vertical. 60 days we're looking at a chart like this, and of course 30 days we're seeing this same sort of trend. Now the question, of course, is where will Bitcoin go? Now I've been involved in Bitcoin since 2011, long time supporter, based on my understanding of the technology and my belief in its potential. So I'm holding Bitcoin on that basis, and I don't get too concerned. I never sold my coins when they went down as low as 166, and I have sold some when they've gone up just to take a bit of profit. So my price prediction for this year really goes back. I look at once again the all-time chart, and I look at the trend, and I try to see where that trend is. And I can see a line. If I was to try to draw a rough trend line, I can see a line like this, which I believe could very easily continue. In other words, by the time we get anywhere before the end of the year, we could easily be at 600. I would say that we will breach $500 possibly, and more likely before the halving. In other words, I'm looking for a $500 price breach before middle of July. Once we get past 500, I think it will be a psychological point there that there'll be some surge. So I would say, and my prediction would be that we could see a price between $700 and $800 by the end of the year. I think it's reasonably conservative, but I'm not going to stick my neck out for more than that, because I'm going to look at the trend here, and I would say that looking at this trend, that would seem to be up to 800 would seem to be a reasonable price prediction for the end of the year. Now that represents a significant gain. Now, other people, of course, are making various price predictions. One which I read with great interest just the other day, as of recording this video, a guy called Vinny Lingam, who's the CEO of Identity Group and the former founder of mobile gift platform gift card platform. Now, he's made a number of interesting points through his article, and I've got the link below the video so you can read it. However, I'll just go down to his predictions, which he's saying, if he's forced to make a prediction, because no one really likes to make predictions, because clearly you could be wrong. However, given the points he raises and his very interesting analysis of the Bitcoin market, which I do recommend you read, he does say, of course, he doesn't know where the price is going to go to 1,000 or 10,000 this year, but he does know it's going up. And he says here, and I quote, "If I was forced to predict, I would say that it will hit 1,000 plus in 2016 and 3,000 plus in 2017. Now, I think that's entirely possible. I'm not entirely convinced it will hit 1,000 this year, but I won't be surprised if it does. But if I take his prediction as being possible, and I think it is, then what you're looking at here is a significant price range between now and the end of next year. If Bitcoin is going to go from the current price of around 460, as I record this video, up to 3,000 plus, then you are really looking at a significant gain. So what's the object? What's my recommendation? My recommendation is the same as I've always made. I really believe everybody should be seriously considering having some Bitcoin. And when I say having some, I'm not saying go out and break the bank or borrow money or mortgage the house or put all your savings. What I'm saying is, if you've got a few $100 or $1,000 or a couple of $1,000 which you don't mind taking a risk with, I would recommend you take a risk on Bitcoin. And why do I say that? Because I really do believe it's going to rise, and I really do believe that you will be pleased that you took that chance. And I also recommend that if you do buy, you just hold. You don't try to play the market, unless you are a trader, an experienced trader. You simply hold for a 2 to 3 year period. I believe you will be very pleased with the fact that you decided to do that. Now, of course, I don't want to give this as investment advice. This is a high-risk market. It is volatile. Nobody really knows exactly what's going to happen. But given the fundamentals of Bitcoin, and given that it has proven itself, the technology has proven itself now for a number of years, I don't believe this is going to go away. And therefore, I can see it getting more valuable, and certainly more valuable in the next 1, 2, 3, and certainly the 5-year time frame that I'm looking at. And believe me, if you come back here in 18 months' time or the end of 2017, and you see that the price is in fact over 3,000, I'm pretty sure you'd be very happy if you'd put in a bit of money now. And keep in mind that you can buy less than a Bitcoin as well. Now, below this video is also the link to my Bitcoin report if you've not downloaded it before. And if you're someone who's fairly new, or you need to brush up on what's currently in the market and how you can get Bitcoin, then by all means download my free report and get yourself up to speed with Bitcoin and the Bitcoin market and the Bitcoin ecosystem, which is fascinating to watch. Many, many things happening. And I continue to be a long-term bull with regards to Bitcoin. Okay, thanks for watching.